Hello, and welcome to Street Aesthete. This is the show where we explore street view coverage of a noteworthy location, looking out for beautiful architecture and stunning scenery while I amuse myself by remarking on what we see. And in today's episode, we are returning to the United States of America for our most westerly outing on the channel yet. We are going to California and a place that is known as the Danish capital of America, Solvang. What we're going to do is drop into the west of the town and proceed into the centre. And straight away, I think we can begin to see the Danish influence, but in a very uncharacteristic climate, and topography for that matter. So originally on the site of this town, there was a Spanish mission that was founded at the beginning of the 19th century, and about 100 years later a large contingent of Danish people moved into the area and started to build up the town. And they began to build in a style reminiscent of the architecture of their homeland, with these beautiful timber-framed houses. And this lovely red brick. There's definitely an incongruity going on here, with the palm trees and the dusty dry mountains in the background of California, standing alongside these extremely European-looking houses. And here we have two national flags alongside one another, the US and Denmark. And this is the town flag, a variation on the Danish flag with the crown and this lovely Northern Germanic looking typeface. Something else that definitely doesn't feel at all European is the road, which is quite a bit wider than any road you might expect to see in a European town of this size. I also noticed that the majority of the buildings seem to be relatively low-rise in this town. Whenever I see Denmark come up in GeoGuessr, I'm often reminded of the Viking long haul, with these long but rather squat buildings. And we see something rather like that here as well. One of a few windmills that there are in this town. It does seem to be so far, but we shall find out if this holds true, that there's this main strip, this main road in the town, and as soon as you get off of the road, well, actually, there is more of the Danish influence in evidence over here. Solvang is a popular tourist destination, especially for people from Denmark and other parts of Northern Europe, and so there are many hotels, inns, touristic cottages around for people to stay in. And although Solvang is the Danish capital of the US, there are less than 10% of its population that can claim Danish heritage. But when you consider that Denmark is a country of less than 6 million people, perhaps proportionately Solvang's Danish population is relatively large. The name of the place, Solvang, roughly translates, I think, as sunny valley. Sol, sun. Vang may be something like vale, or perhaps it's field. And so it's really quite unlike any other place you might encounter in California. You have the twin benefits of the fantastic climate and the beautiful architecture. Isn't that fabulous? Although it does feel something like a theme park, there's a bit of a sense of surreality about it. And I suppose that's as a result of how new the town is. It's only really spent just over 100 years as a Danish settlement. And so when compared to the European homeland, it's a very young place. Its buildings haven't quite had the time to acquire the patina of the older buildings in Europe. And being in this part of the world, the town was developed on this grid, as we can see, although not perfectly aligned to the cardinal directions, and not perfectly consistent throughout the town, but it's very different to the organic layout of the medieval towns and cities that we would see in Denmark itself. And indeed, many of the buildings seem to be trinket shops, souvenirs, knickknacks. Doesn't quite feel like a real place that people live in. And then you have the strangeness of things like this, a thatched roof. Now, I'm sure one reason for having a thatched roof is that the material it's made from is readily available in the area. But that's perhaps not so much the case here in California. I wonder if the straw needed to be imported. And then the other reason is for insulation. In a cold climate like Denmark's, this material is great for keeping the warmth inside the building. But that's not really something that is likely to be called for in a place like California, which, especially in this southern part, we're in Santa Barbara County here, just a little way west of Los Angeles, is probably not necessary. So for that reason, we can assume really that the buildings here were designed the way they are for purely aesthetic reasons. Perhaps the Danish people who moved here were homesick, wanting to create a little piece of home in a distant land. And I, for one, am glad that they did. Because the result is a very unusual, a very unique and interesting place. It suffers, of course, from the ills of American urbanism, like the ubiquitous car park and the overly wide roads, but it does prove that having beautiful architecture around can very much improve the attractiveness and desirability of a place. Really wonderful, actually. It's the sort of place that you could probably walk around and feel as though you'd seen all of it in about an hour. But being quite a way outside of its closest city, Los Angeles, I wonder how long it would take to get here. Probably a couple of hours in the car. Of course, Americans don't bat an eyelid about driving 12 hours on a road trip, whereas we Brits and Europeans are much less tolerant in general of driving large distances to see our attractions because of the sheer density of history that there is in Europe. And we're back to the thatched house. So I think we'll just consult the map and see if there is anything we might have missed here. And here we are on more of a residential street. More of the half-timbered buildings. And a particularly beautiful one here. But then also we do have more of the sort of cookie-cutter suburban households with the picket fence out front that we might expect to see in any other town in California. Although again, this being a bungalow, perhaps its squatness is somewhat Danish influenced. And I think with that, we're going to leave Solvang. I just spotted this. That's a cute little detail, isn't it? It's a bizarre but beautiful place. I've never been to Denmark, nor explored it in Street View on this channel before, but Solvang has certainly whetted my appetite for that. So if you'd like to join me in exploring a Danish town or city here on the Street Aesthete channel, then why not subscribe? And if you've enjoyed the music that you've been hearing in this video, then take a look at my first channel, which is where I upload all of my original music.